Toastmasters, welcome to the April edition of the Pathways training sessions organized by the Program Quality Directors team. I am Kasun Ilangaratna and I will be your host for this evening. Let me first take a few minutes to walk you through some of the resources and guides from the previous sessions that we had during this Toastmasters year. So some of the supporting materials that we have always promoted: the Pathways Competencies by Path and the Paths and Core Competencies documents. We also have the Pathways FAQ documents enrolling in Pathways and evaluation in Pathways sessions that we have conducted. Several other sessions that were conducted during the year as well. They are all available for you to watch on YouTube. And I will be sharing these links in the chat window as well shortly. And you can always find them if you take a visit to the District 82 YouTube page as well. Just like our other sessions, even today, we are going to be having 2 educational sessions to help you to grow your knowledge of how to be a better speaker, how to be a better leader, and how to be a better Toastmaster. Remember that you can always post any questions that you have during these sessions using the Q&A feature, and we will answer these questions during our Q&A session later on. Now, dear Toastmasters, have you found the pathway to success just yet? In our first session for today, we are going to get the show on the road and learn all that there is to know about the Pathways educational program. To guide us through this session, we have a Toastmaster who is currently a member and the mentor of Central Column Toastmasters Club, as well as the president of the Demo Toastmasters Club. She is also the district membership growth chair and has worked on her Pathways projects since it was first launched in Sri Lanka way back in May of 2018. She has currently completed the innovative planning and the dynamic leadership paths and is currently working on the strategic relationships path. In her professional capacity, she works as a senior executive at North Sales Action Group. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Hashini Silva to let us get the show on the road. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Kasun. And a very warm welcome to everybody who has joined with us today. And thank you very much for that warm and that very comprehensive introduction as well. So today is a very special day for a lot of our newly joined Toastmasters and for those Toastmasters who have been part of the fraternity for a long time, but who have made up their mind, finally embark on their journey in Pathways. Now, don't get confused, all those who are joining us for the first time, joining a PQD webinar for the first time, because I am going to tell you from scratch how you can start your journey on Pathways. So let me share my screen before I start speaking any further. So today's session is going to be very important because, like Philip Crosby once said, the audience only pays attention for as long as they know where you're going. So similarly, you will only be interested in Toastmasters educational program as long as you know what is in store for you. So get the show on the road is all about how you can start your journey in Pathways. Right. So wonderful. I hope all of you can see the screen now. So just to recap on, or to give an introduction to the new members, those who have joined Toastmasters very recently, on what Toastmasters has in store in terms of education and what its history has been, I have put this slide here. So Toastmasters, when it started way back in the day, it always had 2 tracks. That is the leadership track, and the communication track. Now, this is what the traditional program of Pathways entailed. A traditional program of Toastmasters entailed. So any new member who joined into Toastmasters had the option of selecting either the communication track or the leadership track. Because as all of you already know, Toastmasters is where leaders are made. And of course, leaders who are competent communicators as well. So you have the option of selecting either the communication or the leadership track. But as time progressed, Toastmasters has evolved. And since 2010, Toastmasters launched a new program, a new educational program called the Pathways Learning Experience. And that is what is currently an educational program of Toastmasters International, because we don't consider or we don't follow the traditional program anymore. We are now only embarking on the Pathways Learning Experience, which is a combination of both the leadership and the communication tracks. So you no longer have to worry about having to select either of the tracks. You now have all of that in one. So it's a sync of both the communication and the leadership tracks all in one. And the best part is, now we all have our liking. So the best part about Pathways is that you get to select what exactly you would want to specialize in. For some of you, this might sound gibberish. Don't worry. As we progress, I'm going to tell you all about this and why this is so important, and how much of interesting educational material, how much of interesting educational experiences Toastmasters has in store for you. So let's get started. Now, Pathways. For those of you who are new, Pathways, again, is the new educational program that Toastmasters has come up with. Now, what is so amazing about Pathways is that Pathways is a program that has taken into consideration all of the loopholes that have existed in the past traditional education program, and also ensured that it caters to the modern audience. So the new evolving generation is a generation that likes to move with the digital devices, that they like the digital drive. So this Pathways educational program is something that focuses on the evolving technology, and it's digitalized, unlike our traditional educational program that was active in the previous years. So in the new Pathways educational program, you will see now, especially the members who have already started their journey in the traditional program and who have now come to a stop, will understand that when they start embarking on Pathways, recognition comes much earlier and more often in their educational journey. And when we say recognition, this is the recognition that you get for completing your educational award. So earlier, you had to wait until you completed 10 speeches in the Competent Communicator Manual to be certified or to be awarded or recognized as a competent communicator. Similarly, the same applied for the competent leader. So you had to wait for quite some time to be to get the recognition for the hard work or the effort that you put in. But in Pathways, this recognition comes early, comes at every level. Don't worry, I'll explain to you what all these levels are. Another thing is that the traditional program had printed material. So whenever you went for a meeting, you had to always carry your printed manual. That is, if you're embarking on the Competent Communicator series, you would carry the Competent Communicator Manual to the meeting and carry it over to your evaluator, and your evaluator will evaluate the same for you. But with Pathways, everything is digitalized. Now, especially during the pandemic time, clubs conducted a lot of meetings online. So now, when we conduct meetings online, we are connected digitally. So through Pathways, it was possible for us to just download the PDF document and maybe email it to our respective evaluator, who was able to listen to our speech and evaluate us. So there are new technological resources that are available on the Toastmasters International website that help us to continue our educational journey despite all of the troubles, all of the different problems that may come across due to various reasons. So there are so many new technological resources that are used to improve your speeches and also support your meeting roles. The other thing is that you have mobile access to all educational materials. Now, unlike in the past, anything can be retrieved by the click of a button. So we have a practical demonstration towards the end. You will see how easy it is to gain access to your educational material and how easy it is for you to go through and simply learn things at your fingertips. It's not complicated at all. Once you get the hang of it, you will see that you will start progressing on your journey and learn skills that you never thought you would. The next is that there's a lot of video and digital content available. So once you embark on your journey in Pathways, you will see at every level there are projects you're required to complete, and you will see you're just not put into the deep end. There is so much of interactive educational materials that are available to you. There are videos, there are instances where you need to stop the video and click on the right answer. It's very interactive. It's not boring. It's not just looking at a book anymore. It's very interactive. You get to enjoy that whole Pathways learning experience through all of these, not just materials to read, but videos, audios, and so much of interactive activities. And last but not least, there is an opportunity for stronger evaluation and mentoring. Why I say this is usually in the traditional method, we used to take the book, go to our evaluator and request our evaluator to evaluate it. And then most of the time we forget it after that. But in Pathways, there's the option where you can get your evaluation from your respective evaluator and also send a request to somebody else as well to give you feedback so that you can definitely improve yourself. So there are methods where you can get strong evaluation and of course mentoring. So there is a specialized Pathways mentor program as well for anybody who is interested in mentoring another. And in the same way, once you qualify as a mentor, once you are geared enough to become a mentor, you also have the opportunity of helping the others in your club to grow and improve. So all of these advantages came with Pathways. Now, I know some of you must be thinking, I've been talking so much about the advantages of Pathways, the differences between the traditional program and the new program. So what is Pathways all about? Now, that's what we're going to deep dive into and really understand. So over the years, the materials in Pathways from 1924 to the present day, Toastmasters has evolved in terms of its educational materials, in terms of its educational experience as a whole. So they started off with a simple book that says basic training for Toastmasters, but now we have come to a point where our educational program has been rebranded as Toastmasters Pathways Learning Experience. So the Toastmasters Pathways Learning Experience, the new educational program of Pathways, is definitely an interesting one. So what we are going to first do is we are going to get an introduction into Pathways to really understand what Pathways is all about. Then we're going to talk about what I mentioned earlier, the paths that are available to you, then the different levels in each path, and the projects. Then we're going to talk about the so-called awards and recognitions, which a lot of us crave for, because as human beings, we all like to feel appreciated. So we'll talk about the awards and recognitions that we get. Then we will talk about how to enroll into Pathways. That will be a practical demonstration, followed by how you can complete projects in Pathways and make your way to get those awards. We'll also touch upon other resources as we have time. And of course, not to forget the Q&A session. Now, when we all start off, now, for an example, here I have a picture of a policeman, right? A policeman who maybe looks like he's fairly new, maybe just joined into the police. So when he completes a couple of years, right, he becomes somebody who is qualified, somebody who is at a higher rank than he is when he joins. Now, in Toastmasters, it is this Toastmasters Pathway Learning Experience that is going to help you to go from maybe just a sergeant to an OIC. So that is what makes Pathways so special, and that is why Pathways is so important for you. Now, the Pathways is, like I emphasize so many times, is the educational program of Toastmasters International that is designed to help Toastmasters to improve their communication, and leadership skills. So pathways in general will help you to practice and improve your communication and also your leadership skills, because no longer do we maintain two separate tracks as the communication track and the leadership track. It's all in one. You will be able to give speeches at your club based on the assignments that you get in pathways. You will be able to challenge yourself and to be able to build and refine certain competencies and skills. You might also be able to gain new competencies that you never thought you had. You'll also be able to challenge yourself to build and refine yourself, and then complete a range of projects that include persuasive speaking, that include motivating others, even things like creating a podcast or leading in a difficult situation. So I will also give you a lot of examples. Now, things just pop up in my mind when I see these advantages. There are so many instances where I have really got the benefit of pathways and where I have experienced these advantages in my journey in pathways, because I am somebody who did not embark on the traditional program. I started off my Toastmasters journey with pathways. And so the best part about pathways is the fact that pathways helps you with a lot of day-to-day skills, real world skills, I may call it. So you would see even in this slide. Now, in the traditional program, things were pretty standardized. You would learn the basics of a speech. You would learn the importance of having a good opening, a good closing. I would say it was quite simple, but pathways is a little more advanced. It has combined the skills that we would require in our day-to-day life into the pathways educational program, so that we are geared to face real-world problems. Because at the end of the day, whatever we learn inside this controlled environment of Toastmasters, we need to really go and practice outside of Toastmasters. That is what we are here for. So it will help you to develop your communication, leadership, management, strategic planning, and even, of course, your public speaking and things like serving others, I would say customer service, right? So all of these things are embedded into the new educational program, and that is definitely what makes Pathways so special. So if you were doubting on what Pathways is, and if you're still having second thoughts, I believe this information would suffice to make you understand how important Pathways is for your future. Right, so we come now to yet another very interesting and important aspect in Pathways. Now, like I said before, we all have different likings. Not all of us like the same things. There might be somebody whose hobby is gardening. There might be somebody whose hobby is to talk day in and day out. Somebody's hobby might be to cook. So depending on what our likings are, there are, certain things that we would like to specialize in. Now, for an example, a person who would like to fly would definitely choose joining the Air Force rather than joining the Navy. But somebody who is interested in traveling by sea would definitely be interested in joining the Navy as opposed to joining the Army or the Air Force. So in a similar manner, even in Toastmasters, the Pathways educational program gives us the opportunity to select a path of our choice. It has 11 specialized learning paths, out of which we are free to complete 1, 2, 3, or even all 11 paths. So Pathways is very special because, like I said, unlike before, you have more targets to achieve, more recognitions to get, and there is so much more to learn. Now, if you're somebody who is, let's say, interested in giving presentations, or if your job requires you to deliver good presentations, you already see there's a presentation mastery path which you can just click on and start to embark on. And of course, as opposed to that, now I'm personally somebody who is not too good with, cracking jokes or including humor into my speech. So for me, a path that I would be interested in pursuing in the near future would be engaging humor. So this link here would direct you to a lovely PDF document which contains all the details on these different parts. So I think it's already been shared in the chat box, or it will be shared soon. So these 11 specialized paths will help you to achieve the goals that you have in life. It will just be something additional that would help you to fine tune your skills or to learn new skills and help you to succeed in life. Now, these 11 paths focus on over 300 competencies. And when I say 300 competencies, I really mean it, right? But these 300 competencies entail 5 major competencies that all of these 11 paths are based on. These 5 competencies are the main competencies that are the core competencies that are covered in pathways. And as you can see, those are public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Now, these 5 core competencies are covered in every single path, right? In all 11 paths, these are covered. But you will see that some paths cover all 5 competencies, whereas a path like engaging humor would cover only public speaking and confidence. So don't worry, it doesn't mean that you have to only limit yourself to that. You can, of course, embark on another new path to gain the core competencies that you need to gain in managing your work in day-to-day life and learning new skills to, of course, fine-tune and make yourself a better person each day. And so again, the sources that are mentioned here will be shared with you soon in the chat box. And now that we have understood very clearly what the core competencies in pathways are, it's now time for us to go into detail. So once you have selected your path, right? I'm not going to touch too much upon how you're going to select your path because that I will cover in the practical demonstration that's going to follow. Now, once you have selected your path, let's all assume that we have all selected our path, right? Once that's done, this is what you are going to find in your path. So each path comprises of 5 levels. Each path comprises of 5 levels. And these 5 levels have a level of proficiency, I would say. Now, level 1 is all about mastering the basics or the fundamentals. When you move on to level 2, it's about understanding your style of learning, understanding your style of communicating. Then when you move on to level 3, it's all about increasing your knowledge. So you learn to really see how you can make use of what you are learning and also increase your knowledge through researching, through attending to others, through learning from your mentor, evaluating others. You start to really fine tune and polish yourself when you get to level 3. Then in level 4, you start to build your skills. Now it's time for you to start showing off what you have learned. And when you come to level 5, it's all about demonstrating it. So clearly, level 5 is all about putting what you have learned into practice. So in level 1, you would have a project called the Icebreaker, which is the very first project that anybody and everybody would embark on. That is a 4 to 6 minute speech, which is done to introduce yourself to your fellow members in the club. And that is where you really break the ice and, start to gain the confidence to begin your journey in Toastmasters. Then you have also a project which focuses on evaluation and feedback. We'll go into detail about it. And finally, a project on researching and presenting, all in your level 1. Then when you go to level 2, you will see that there are 2 compulsory projects, right? And there is also a project that focuses on introducing you to mentoring, because in Toastmasters, a skill that we really give a lot of consideration to is mentoring. So you will learn the basics of mentoring in level 2. And when you progress to level 3, you will see from there onwards, you will have compulsory projects and elective projects. Now, when you say elective projects, there might be about a good 10 projects that are considered as elective projects. And maybe you're required to do only 2, like as in level 3, you see a minimum of 2 elective projects are required for you to complete the level. Now, here what is important is make sure that you select the projects that are most relevant to you. And you don't have to really limit yourself to 2. You can do more than 2. You can do all 10, but a minimum of 2 is required. And also when you get to level 3, you will see that you will need to serve as a table topic master. You will need to serve as a Toastmaster and also an evaluator. So while you complete your projects, it's also equally important for you to complete your roles, because all of that is going to give you a lovely learning experience. And then again, when you get to level 4, you will have a required project and an elective project to complete. And then when you get to level 5, again, required project elective project, and you will have one final project that says reflect on your path, where you will have to deliver a fantastic speech on everything you learned during your journey while you embarked on that path that you selected. So 14 projects in total, and that's what your first pathway, or whatever the pathway that you are going to select, is going to give you. So you don't have to limit yourself to one pathway. Now, for me, this is the third pathway I'm embarking on. So you can also not just stop from your first pathway, but once you're done with your first pathway, move on to the next pathway. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that you are going to get rewards and recognition. You're going to get awarded. So at the end of each level, you will get a certificate that will certify that you have completed each level. Right. So here, if anybody wants a detailed overview, the first level that you will be embarking on is a level 1. So like I said, it has the icebreaker speech. And then when you get to the evaluation and feedback speech, there is a point where you need to deliver a speech, get evaluation, apply evaluation to your speech. And there is also a time where you will also get to evaluate another speech, of course, with the help of your mentors. You will have a lot of people to help you out when you start your journey in Pathways, and you will feel wonderful about it. Trust me on that. And then you have your third project is on researching, where you will have to research on a lovely topic that you are maybe familiar with or not too familiar with, and deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech. So once you complete your project, you will be able to go to your base camp. I'll show you what base camp is. Go to your base camp and basically submit your award there, after which your base camp manager will approve it. Your base camp manager is basically your vice president education, or in his absence, it can be the president. Once you mark your level 1 as complete, you will receive the level 1 badge, right? So here I have shown the badges that you receive after each level. And also once you complete a path. So these badges will automatically appear in your profile once you complete every path. And of course, you will gain access to the certificate. You will get a certificate after the completion of each level. I'll show you in the practical demo how you can access it. And your colleagues, of course, have also the opportunity of giving you the other badges which are shown on my left-hand side, where you can reward your colleagues for their collaborative nature, their courageous nature, their exceptional performance. And your colleagues also can reward you for the same by giving you these badges. I'll show you all about how that can be done. And in addition to all of this, the district, our district, which is District 82, will also appreciate you by sending you a certificate of this nature, a laminated certificate with a ribbon that certifies that you have completed the respective level that you have completed. So this certificate will also be given to you at an important occasion, maybe a division conference or an important area council meeting, or it can be any function that where the district trio is present. They will present this to you, or it will at least be couriered to you, like it happened during the COVID times. Then there are also these badges which you can purchase from Toastmasters International when you complete each level, and finally when you are proficient in the respective path. Right, so just to summarize, before we go to the practical demo, there are 11 paths. Each path has 5 levels, and each level has 14 projects per path, and every level has 2 projects at minimum, right? So you will have to do speeches, you will be able to deliver evaluations, and also complete meeting roles in order for you to complete one path. So this is basically just a snapshot of it all. I hope I'm not going too fast, but of course, if I'm going too fast, you can definitely note down whatever queries you have, or just send it in the chat box, and we will take it up during the question and answer session. So now we are going to go to the pathways enrollment. Now, the good thing here is, although I'm rushing, I'm going to share this presentation with you, which means you can go through this leisurely and get the hang of it. So this is what we're going to do. What I've listed down here is all the steps for the pathways enrollment, right, which I promised I will definitely share. And finally, I have here the steps you need to follow to complete a project in Pathways. So once you enroll into Pathways, the next step would be to complete your project. And the steps for that are shown here. So I'm going to stop sharing the presentation now, and we are going to move on to the practical demo. So if anybody is finding it hard to understand because I'm going a little fast due to the time constraint, please make sure that you have your questions lined up, and we'll see how we can solve or how I can answer these questions when we come to the Q&A session. Right, so let me first show you how you can log in to the Toastmasters website. So I hope that all of you can see my screen. So for those of you who haven't logged into our Toastmasters website as yet, or who haven't received their login, what you can do is you can enter in your email and click on the forgot password option if you don't remember your password or if you haven't received it. And then you will be sent a link with all the details of what needs to be done to get a new password, right? So in my case, I remember my password, so I'm just going to enter it in and log in. So once you are logged into the Toastmasters website as a member, of course, there's a lot of resources that you can access even without logging in. But in order for you to go to your Pathways learning experience, to start using Pathways and start embarking on your educational journey, you need to really log in. So once you're logged in, you will see there are so many different tabs about Pathways education and so on. Click on the Pathways tab. And the very first thing, if you haven't selected a path, the very first thing that you need to do is to choose a path. So click on that, click on choose a path. And then you will get the option to first select the language you want to continue in. So of course, that's going to be English for Sri Lankans. And then you can select whether you want to go with printed materials or digital resources. Of course, printed materials would, printed materials would mean that you are going to incur some additional amount, that is 25 USD. So we always advise and recommend you to go with digital resources. So select digital resources, and then you get the opportunity of either directly selecting your path. Now, the PDF document, the link to the PDF document would have already been shared. So you have the opportunity of going through the competencies of each path and already deciding on which path you want to start. Or if you're unsure of what path you want to take, you can take the online assessment. Again, your time constraints, I'm not going to click on that. So you can either directly select the path by clicking on view path, or you can take the assessment. They will ask you a couple of questions where you need to tick, and you can finally complete. If I'm to just show you how it will look. So you select the language again and start, and see, you'll be asked a couple of questions like this where you will have to tick certain things and then go to next. So here it says select 3 topics. So, and you can answer these questions and it will recommend some paths to you, or you can just go to the view path option, continue, and pick a path of your choice. Now here it has recommended presentation mastery to me, even without me taking the quiz. I have the opportunity of going through this, learning more about innovative planning, right? Going through the PDF document and selecting it. So this was the very first path that I selected. Right, so once you have chosen the path, that job is done. So now, assuming that you have already selected the path, since we don't have much time, I'm going to rush, but we can come back to this if necessary. Now, assuming that all of you have selected the path, the next step would be, once we logged into our profile, click on Pathways again. Instead of saying choose a path, you can say go to Basecamp. Choose a path is for anybody who wants to select their path. But if you have selected the path, you can go to Basecamp directly, right? Okay, so once you click on go to Basecamp, once you click on go to Basecamp, you will be directed to this page, right? So here you get the paths that are active for you. Now, in my case, like I said before, I finished up to level 5 in my dynamic leadership. And then I have also activated the strategic relationships path, right? So I haven't still embarked on my journey in this path as yet. I've only completed my icebreaker, but still I haven't marked it as complete. So once you get to this page, the next step would be for you to open your curriculum to see what is in store for you, right? So now strategic relationship is a path that I'm going to take as the example today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on open curriculum. Now, when you click on the path that you chose and open your curriculum, you will see that all 5 levels and all the projects that are there for all the 5 levels are shown to you in this manner, right? So what you will be embarking on first is your level 1. Now you can see what I explained earlier in the PPT shown here. You have your icebreaker, you have your evaluation and feedback project, you have your researching and presenting project. So what you need to do to start off is you need to click on launch, right? You need to click on activate. I'm sorry. Now this is because I have, like I said, I started off my icebreaker. I did my icebreaker, which is why it says launch. For you, it will say activate. It will say activate, not launch. It's launched for me because I've already launched my path, my icebreaker. For you, it will say activate. So you click on activate, and then it will take you to the very first tab, that is this. It will tell you how you need to navigate your project. So this is the very first. And you will see there's a drop down here that you can use to move, or you can just click on the arrows that you see. This is blocking me. Right. You can just click on the arrows here and it will take you to your project. So instead of seeing this in a book format, you will see it in a slide format, and there is important information. There are wonderful videos. So here I have a gist of the first project, the icebreaker project that I need to complete. Now I had, of course, read through this. Here I get the project checklist, the purpose of the speech, all of that. So if you at any time need, the directions are also here. So it's very user-friendly, nothing to worry about, nothing to get scared about. And the very first thing you need to do is you need to assess your skills before. So before I start my project, I'm going to assess my skills and say, okay, am I a confident speaker? Am I calm? You select whatever you want. There are a couple of questions like that to answer, right? So once you're done with all of that, the final point, the fifth question will say, will let you to move to the competencies. So from there onwards, now this will tell you all the competencies that are being covered in this project. And then you have a video navigation. That means there's a video coming up, and here you go. There's a lovely video that you can watch to gain a better insight into how you need to complete the project. And after this, you can go through whatever other materials that are available to you. There is the icebreaker online worksheet. There is the speech outline worksheet. You can use all of these resources to craft a wonderful speech, get further information that is here on the slides itself, talk to your mentors, get support from your senior members in the club, and get ready to prepare and present a wonderful speech. Now, this is what you need to do after your speech. So that we don't have to come to as yet. So you go through all this material required, you craft a lovely speech, deliver it, and after that, you have the opportunity of coming back to this point. Now, you saw when I clicked on launch, it straight away came to the point where I need to evaluate myself after my speech, because you stop from here, right? And then you close the tab, you do your speech, you come back here when you click on launch. So then you can evaluate your skills after the speech. You can complete your assessment, review your skills after your speech. And then you come to the end where it says, congratulations, you've completed your first speech. That is your first icebreaker project, right? So that is how basically the whole completion of projects works. So again, if I have rushed and if you haven't understood, bear with me. I will share the presentation, and also you will have the opportunity of clarifying whatever doubts you have during the Q&A session. So with that, let me hand over controls to our moderator for today, Toastmaster Kasun.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hashini, for helping everyone to get the show on the road. So big round of thanks to distinguished Toastmaster Inshaf and Toastmaster Hashini for helping us with today's sessions. And I would like to invite you both back for our Q&A segment. And I would also like to take this opportunity to invite our Program Quality Director, Madam Distinguished Toastmaster Sriyanti, to join us as well for the question and answer session. So our first question for today, pathways related. So I would direct this at Toastmaster Hashini. The question is, how would I find the best suited pathway for me?
Right. How would I find the best suited partner with me? Excellent question. So, to somebody who had missed this while I explained, since I was rushing a bit, let me explain this one more time. Now, like I said, when you go to your profile, like once you log into Toastmasters, you will have the option of either picking the path of your preference after going through this particular document, this, which I was just going through. So this document has already been shared in the chat box. If a moderator could share it one more time, it would be much clearer. So you can go through this document, see what each path entails. You could see the 5 levels and what projects are in each of the different levels. And you could make a choice of which path you want to pursue. Or, like I said, there is an option where you can take the assessment to decide on what path you want to embark on. And from there, you can do the assessment, and that will also recommend a certain path to you. So either of it can be followed when you want to when you want to select a path.
Thank
I
you.
hope that's clear. Should I? You want me to show the assessment again? Because that would take some time since I had to go back to the home page. I hope it was clear. Was it clear, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Toastmaster Hashini, I believe it was clear. Thank you so much for that answer. Our next question, I would like for distinguished Toastmaster Insha. The question has come from our fee registration form. The question is, can a club, Toastmaster club, maintain a separate Facebook page for itself?
The answer is yes. If you see this District 82 Facebook page, and you will be able to see different clubs already have a lot of Facebook pages, but very important item to remember. As I mentioned in the session, you have to follow the Toastmasters brand guidelines to its best. Any post, any flyers that share in those social medias, rather Facebook, it has to be meticulously gone through the 4 checks to make sure we follow the correct brand guideline. So we display, or we rather communicate our Toastmasters brand professionalism to the society, or the rather public. Over to you, Pastor.
Thank you, DTM Insha. And there's another question I would like to direct at you, coming from a Q&A chat feature on Zoom. The question is, who will be my mentor and how do I select the mentor?
Very good question. So when it comes to mentoring, in a club, normally soon after you become a member, once vice president membership settle you within the club, vice president education will assign you a mentor. Of course, you also can find a mentor for yourself. But why does vice president membership do it? The question. The reason being, it is advised to have a Toastmaster who have little more experience than you, or rather knowledge in Toastmasters than you, so he or she can direct you to the right way that you want to go. So this is all about what you learn in Toastmasters and the experience that you gain. So more a person or more a Toastmaster is equipped with longer experience, he or she will be able to give you some amazing and valuable ways of improving yourself. So the right person for you to reach out is vice president membership, vice president education of the club, and he or she will assign you a mentor.
Thank you, DTM Insha. And our next question goes to Toastmaster Hashini. The question is, what is the duration that I have to complete the pathway that I have selected?
Okay, again, to re-emphasize on what I mentioned earlier, there is absolutely no deadline for you to complete a path. So once you activate your path, you are given the freedom to take your own cool time and complete a path. There are no restrictions imposed. So the good thing about pathways is that there is no restriction in time, and the recognitions can be obtained irrespective of how fast you complete. So even now, for an example, if I'm to talk about my personal experience, I took almost a year and a half or even more than that to complete my very first part. But the most recent part that I completed, I think I completed it in less than a year. So it depends on how comfortable you are with the material and how fast of a learner you are. And so you would have the ability of balancing your work, your family life, all of that, and also taking your own full time in completing all the projects. There is no time restriction. However, if you're looking forward to qualify for an award like the Triple Crown, there are certain criteria that you need to meet. But apart from that, none of them are restrictions. You can always go at your own pace and complete the projects in time. I don't want to scare you with all the requirements for the Triple Crown and things like that, because those are just additional. Your achievements should be to complete each level and learn and equip yourself with whatever skills that and learnings that each level has in store for you. Over to you again, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hashini. And there's another question similar to that one, I would say. The question is, without completing one pathway, can I start work on the second pathway?
Of course you can. Good question. So I also had this doubt because when I completed my first path, I had already gotten the opportunity to select a second path. So in my mind, I was wondering, can I? So yes, you can. There is absolutely no problem. So even right now, I have completed up to level 5 in my dynamic leadership path, but I haven't done the level completion. So, however, I have still done the icebreaker in my strategic relationships path. There is nothing stopping you. You can even do 10 paths together. Of course, if you can balance all of it, there is absolutely no restriction on that. However, I'll also make a note, only one path will be free when you join a club. When you become a Toastmaster, the membership fee, one path will be given to you free of charge. The rest of the paths you will have to pay and get. It will not be free unless otherwise you were entitled for the offer that was on until the 31st of last month. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hashmi. And we have a question that I would like to direct to DTM Insha on meeting roles. The question is as follows. As the grammarian, when we are evaluating the grammatical mistakes, is it okay to pinpoint members and tell it? Will they get offended? Or can we cluster by section and list down all the mistakes and share the improvement points?
It's a very good question, by the way. One of the main aspects of Toastmasters is to inspire members to become better. So in general meetings, what we do is we do not pinpoint each member in front of a lot of people and tell them you have to improve this and that. However, what we do is we generally, as a grammarian, we generally look at the session and we, for an example, mention someone said like this and it could have said in this way. So we keep the member or rather person who do the mistake in front of a crowd anonymous. And then maybe you can reach out to him or her personally and tell, this is how we need to improve. This is what makes you improve. That is one thing that we all have to understand. But how we deliver the criticism is also very important. Some people may like it, some people don't like it. So to keep the neutral in the neutral in your evaluation or your report, it's better for you to mention, in general, I saw these type of grammatical errors, these type of good use of language that happen in the club, and these can be improved. So you give a comprehensive report for the time that you have in the club level meeting, and then maybe you reach out to the member personally and tell them this is where you have to improve. In my experience, a lot of grammarians came to me personally and told me the areas that I need to improve. So I'd say deliver a general report, maybe reach out to them personally. It would be a great. Over to you, Mr. Margaret.
Thank you so much, DTM Mitra, for sharing your wonderful insights with us. And our next question will go to Toastmaster Hashini. The question is as follows. How can I change the path that I have selected by mistake?
Oh, right. Okay. This is yet again another question that is frequently asked by those who are embarking on pathways for the first time. So sometimes we all get overexcited and select the wrong path. So then you have the ability of changing the path that you selected within 30 days of selecting the path. So you need to actually drop a mail to Toastmasters. That is, if I remember right, it's supplyorders@toastmasters.org. So you just drop a mail to them and mention that you require a change in the path. And of course, yes, within the first 30 days, you can get it done. But if it passes the 30-day mark, I believe there is a small penalty that you will be incurred, or you will have to make payment and get a new path. So make sure that you do the change within the first 30 days of selecting the path. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster Hashini. There's another question that I would like to ask you. There's a request to go through and explain the 3 projects in level 1 once again, if you could be so kind, please.
Right, sure. So let me go back to my presentation again. Right. So if we go to level 1, these are I hope you can see my screen. So in level 1, these are the 3 projects that you are required to complete. The first of the projects would be the icebreaker. That would be just a 4 to 6 minute speech. So very simple, just one speech. But if you go to the project 2, the project 2 is a little more complicated, where you have 3 activities or 3 sub-projects that you need to complete. That is, first you need to prepare and deliver a speech, a 5 to 7 minute speech. Then you need to get feedback from your evaluator, apply the feedback. Maybe it can be something like use more vocal variety. So apply that feedback and deliver the speech again. It can be the same speech, it can be a new speech, but apply the feedback that you receive and do a second speech. And finally, you get the opportunity of evaluating one of your fellow members. So here, again, evaluating, it's nothing serious. You can get the help of your mentors. They'll guide you on basically evaluating is, at the end of the day, knowing the best and, in your perspective, giving your opinion about somebody else's speech. So that opportunity will also be given to you when you complete your level 2 projects. So there are 3 sub-projects there. And then the final, third project would be to prepare and deliver a speech on a topic that you are either familiar or not familiar. But even if you're familiar, you will have to do some extensive research there. So it's better to pick a topic that you're not too familiar with, so that you are interested to do some research and finally deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech. So it's quite simple. You don't have to keep this in mind. There is nothing to memorize. Like I said, once you go to your base camp, activate your path, right, and start embarking on it, all the directions to complete your level 1 is already there. So there's nothing to fret, there's nothing to freak out. All of the information is available. So don't worry, select your path, start embarking on your journey, and there'll be so many senior members. There'll be us, there'll be your own mentors who will guide you on the same. Over to you again, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hashmi. So in the interest of time, I think this might be our last question. So I'll try to combine a few questions here for you, Toastmaster Hashmi. The question is, can we get an explanation of what is the Triple Crown and how, if there is a deadline to achieve the Triple Crown?
Right. So again, in terms of the Triple Crown, now this, like I said, is nothing for you to really worry too much about. Of course, you can get a lot of extra information about this as well as you progress. So the Triple Crown is when you complete three of your projects. It can be level 1, level 2, and level 3. It can be level 2, 3, and 4, or 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't matter. You need to complete these projects within a Toastmasters year. So that is what will qualify you to get the Triple Crown. Now, I wouldn't advise you to rush for it, especially when you're a new member. But when you start maybe doing your second part, this is something maybe you can work on. So don't run behind the Triple Crown. Complete your projects. If you manage to complete within a Toastmasters year, good for you. Again, like DTM Inshaf said, best is reach out to an expert. And in this regard, your expert would be your Vice President Education. And of course, any other EXCO member or senior member who can help you out. Because you're trying to decide on certain things that you might not know, might end up with you being all confused and being all over the place. So again, Triple Crown is when you complete 3 projects within the same Toastmasters year. But don't fret, go at your own pace and see how best you can achieve your goals, achieve these recognitions while learning and improving yourself. Over to you, Toastmaster Castle.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hashini. We have maybe time for another small question coming in from our Q&A section. That is, after completing the level 5, there is an additional project called Reflect on Your Path. The question is, should we complete that also to submit the path completion for the DCP dashboard?
Of course, yes. So that is required because until the point where you, let's say before you complete that last project, you will only get the level completion, the level 5 completion. But to say that you're proficient in the path that you embarked on, you need to do that final project. Now, for an example, I am still not in the position to say that I am proficient in dynamic leadership because I haven't completed that path as yet, because that project is a pretty special project where you are really required to apply the skills that you've learned in a very high level, right? So it can be maybe, I don't know, for my previous path, I took on the assignment of organizing the installation ceremony of our club. So like that, depending on what your project requires you to do, you will have to do a bit of a high level project and show your skills, all the skills that you've learned while embarking on your path, and completing that in order for you to qualify as proficient in your respective path. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much to our dear panelists for joining with us today for those questions. I think we still have 1 or 2 questions in the chat box, so I would kindly request if we could answer those on the chat, since I doubt that we have time to take it up live. But I would request our audience not to leave just yet, because we would really love to hear your feedback from us. And we also would like to hear a few words from our Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Sriyanthi Salgado. Madam, if you would be so kind.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Well, I'm glad to see so many participants around. Pathways is a journey that we take in a slow and sure manner. Don't be afraid to take it up. Enroll yourself. That is the first thing. Just in case you all have not enrolled yourself, enroll yourself. There are many of us who can help you, guide you on how to do it. It's not at all difficult. Take it slowly at the beginning. Do project by project, because if you do it slowly, you can concentrate on quality, and that is a must. And once you're sure of yourself, then you and speed up and be comfortable to continue improving yourself. Please join us every first Friday. We will have something for you, which I know will definitely be useful, whether it's pathway or a role that is going to be explained to you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, madam, for your words of wisdom. And with that, we would like to hear your feedback. So you can scan the QR code or you can visit this URL to share your feedback. So I will leave this on my screen for the next 1 to 2 minutes, and I would like to request everybody to kindly visit the link and share your feedback with us. It's a very small form. And with that, uh, let me take the opportunity to thank our panelists, distinguished Toastmaster Inshaf Mohammed and Toastmaster Hashini Silva, and also thank the PQD team and the audience for bearing with me as your host for today. And the next session will be conducted on the 7th of May, the first Friday of the month, as Madam Sriyanti said. And with that, I wish you all a pleasant evening and hope that you all enjoyed the session. Thank you all for joining and see you all soon.